The Aurora Police Department has serious problems of racism and excessive force, according to Colorado's Attorney General. A new report echoes what some people have been screaming out for years.
I've said that 1,000,000 times, and no one could hear me. It wasn't valid unless or until fill in the blank said it, right?
20 years ago, a school assignment gets turned in. 20 years later, it comes back.
Thank you for saving all those people who survived. Amanda Patrick, age 11, Peck Elementary, Arvada, Colorado.
And while you park yourself on your couch or wherever you watch us, we've got news about metered parking rates going up in Denver. Your free newscast without any rate hikes is next. Overdose deaths in Colorado are ripping young families apart. In some cases, children are losing their moms before they even turn 1. This is why Swedish Medical is trying out a new program they hope will save new parents. Here's Anusha Roy.
For a long time, there was a feeling of helplessness on the labor and delivery floor in Swedish.
Maybe just a couple of phone numbers, but you really feel like you are with them for such a short amount of time and then just sending them back out to the community with nothing.
Labor and delivery. Nurses and doctors here are seeing expecting moms and parents come in every week with substance use issues and see a handful of babies in the NICU going through withdrawal every month.
We're seeing more of our patients that have substance use disorder.
What we're seeing reflected in the maternal data is actually part of a larger national trend. Overdose has been consistently climbing up the rankings of causes of death of Americans, especially young Americans.
It's now to the point drug overdose is a leading cause of death when it comes to maternal mortality.
Suicide and overdose kind of flip-flop depending on the year.
So Swedish launched a new program 2 weeks ago where after screening patients on the labor and delivery floor, they send families home from the hospital with naloxone, an overdose antidote.
Most moms are lost after delivery. And the reason for that is because moms who struggle with addiction oftentimes cut back drug use during their pregnancy. They don't want to affect their infant.
After pregnancy, relapse happens and the tolerance is lower and overdoses can happen.
The hope, and also what I think projects like the Colorado Naloxone Project are doing, is normalizing the use of this, that it's not just, it can be anyone.
The pilot program comes with training for staff to help bridge the gap of stigma that is magnified when an expecting parent also needs help with drug use.
I think there is a fear that if they are honest, or, why are we asking these questions, or how they answer, that, that they are going to face some consequences. So I think that's where the training for our nurses has come in, to really just try and come at it from an honest perspective.
Yeah, so this is a really complicated medical debate where I'm just going to scratch the surface here. But for example, if a mom says that they are addicted, the hospital has to report this to the state, and then Child Protective Services will get involved. But if someone says other family members are using, then Jeremy, the hospital does not have to mandatory report that to the state.
So this way raises questions about awkward moments among moms and doing what's best for the baby.
Yeah, and it also raises the question about people feeling like they can be honest in that situation and then figuring out what is the best environment for that child. And so, the folks we talked to today said that they're definitely working on navigating that there's a lot of experimenting. And part of that could be more open-ended questions that can justify sending naloxone home, not just for the parents, but anyone in the family who may need it. But then again, Jeremy, it's always about weighing what is the best for that baby.
All right, thank you, Anusha. The fact that Aurora Police treat white people and black people differently isn't news to a lot of black community members, especially those who have been screaming for equality and police reform for years. Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser released a scathing report today. It details years of civil rights violations, racism, and excessive force by the Aurora Police Department. The report found officers engage in racially biased policing and repeatedly used unlawful and unconstitutional excessive force. Between 2015 and 2019, blacks accounted for 16.5% of the city's population, but 40% of its arrests. It also found that during those same years, use of force cases involved blacks nearly 46% of the time. The findings are the result of a 14-month investigation sparked by several high-profile incidents, including the death of Elijah McClain in 2019. To people like Candace Bailey, a candidate for Aurora City Council who led protests last year, this report was a long time coming.
I believe that there is a type of oversight that is needed. Do I know that the Department of Justice is going to be the magic answer that changes the culture inside of Aurora Police Department? I can't tell you that. I am hopeful that all of these steps toward accountability and change help to precipitate that. Do I believe that APD will take that recommendation? I don't.
Police Chief Vanessa Wilson said the department will work with the AG's office and agreed to this oversight. The investigation also found that Aurora Fire Rescue medics regularly broke the law by injecting people with ketamine. The department says it has stopped using that drug, which was given to McLean before he died. This report is the result of a new state law. It gives the Attorney General the power to investigate Aurora Police and other local police agencies for egregious behavior. If they refuse to cooperate with oversight, the AG can try to get a court order. In the past, it's been the Department of Justice, the federal government, that would do such a review. We've looked, and so far the feds have not investigated any local Colorado police agencies for consistent civil rights violations.
There are other jurisdictions, think Los Angeles, that have had consent decrees because of pattern and practice investigations. We will seek to learn from what has worked well in those jurisdictions as we develop what is the first of its kind here in Colorado.
I called the DOJ today to see if it plans to investigate the Aurora Police Department as well. I got a no comment. A spokesperson for the state attorney general said that their review would cover what the feds would do anyway. The investigation into a Denver school board member is complete, and we've obtained the report about Director Tay Anderson, who faced very public allegations of sexual assault. Investigators looked into claims that Anderson sexually assaulted 62 people. Those claims were not substantiated. Their report says there were no alleged victims that came forward. While the report clears Anderson of most allegations, it also says he flirted online with a 16-year-old student through a series of messages. Anderson said in the report he stopped talking with that student once he found out she was underage. Anderson said on Twitter about an hour ago he plans to hold a press conference in the coming days about that report. We reached out to Denver Police to see if that agency is investigating Anderson. They say they don't comment on things they may or may not be doing. The school board will hold a public meeting on Friday. They plan to talk about possibly censoring Anderson for issues that were brought up in that report. Wedding bells in Boulder today as Colorado Governor Jared Polis married First Gentleman Marlon Reyes. It's the first same-sex marriage of a sitting governor in the United States. The couple has been together for 18 years and engaged since December of last year. So Kyle is off today, but we still won't miss a chance to help out a local nonprofit as we do every Wednesday with your Word of Thanks micro giving campaign. Restaurants are struggling to find staff right now. There's a local group that works to help train those trying to get into the industry. Here's Kyle with more.
Restaurant workers are in demand these days. A nonprofit that helps Coloradans with barriers to employment get into the culinary field says it's been hearing from employers lately, anxious to hire those trainees. It's why this week's Word of Thanks campaign is supporting Work Options. The longtime nonprofit is expanding its work, helping Coloradans get skills and get jobs. Work Options used to be called Work Options for Women. They recently changed the name because they serve everyone. They offer a 6-week training program that's trained thousands of Coloradans with barriers to employment so they can get into the working world. Today, they're setting up a new training cafe at the Adams County Human Services Center. They'll run the food service as a way to train their students. You know, I hear a lot of people say that they want to see Coloradans get back to work. Well, here you got people who want to work but have something standing in the way, like a lack of work history or training. Text thanks to 303-871-1491, and I will send you that link to donate to Work Options. And as always, I'll match the first 50 donations of $5 that come in. And we hear all about the shortage of workers in the restaurant business. Here's something simple we can do with a nonprofit that is willing to connect those workers with the skills they need to land those jobs in our community.
An article on a local high school's website caught the attention of the Chinese government, a lesson in international politics.
And it was just crazy to me that he saved this letter that an 11-year-old wrote.
Her words helped a firefighter through some of his darkest times, and they mean a lot to his family now that he's passed. The impact of a simple school assignment 20 years later, next. Now, welcome back. Let's talk about your tax money, bond money, public money, and how the mayor of Denver wants to spend $1.49 billion of it. Just some interesting things from the mayor's proposed budget. More money from the new Homeless Resolution Fund. This is $40 million approved by voters last November, thanks to an increase in sales tax. The program that sends mental health professionals instead of cops to 911 calls gets an extra $1 million. And parking. The mayor wants to increase metered parking from $1 an hour to $2 an hour. The money is expected to generate $9 million and go to transportation and parks. Now, this budget is about 800 pages long, and of course, it has to be debated and voted on by City Council later this year. Regis Jesuit High School calls the changing of an article on its website at the request of the Chinese government an error in judgment. And the school hopes to use this whole situation as a teaching moment. The Denver area high school applied to participate in the UN Commission on the Status of Women next year. Back in May, the UN Committee on NGOs emailed the school asking them to change an article on the school's website that referenced Taiwan. The article was about one of the school's students being named to an international teen advisory board, which included girls from around the world, including Taiwan. They asked that the article include that Taiwan is a province of China. The school complied. It wasn't until a Wall Street Journal reporter contacted them that they learned it was actually a Chinese delegate to the UN who had made this whole request behind the scenes. The island of Taiwan split from mainland China during the Civil War in 1949. China has long wanted Taiwan back under its control. Regis Jesuit tells us after learning about the circumstances behind all of this, they recognize that they made a mistake. They removed all references to any countries in their version of the article. They anticipate hearing if they'll be able to attend the UN event this fall.
A nice summer day, toasty though, with temperatures in the low 90s, and you may notice a little bit of haze out there today. We'll be as warm tomorrow, but there's cooler air coming in with a front that will arrive about 24 hours from now. High pressure is shifting east in response to this, but with the increase in wind, the low humidity values, we'll see high concentrations of ozone and ozone alert, and also red flag warnings for the northern mountains. Fair skies, mild tonight, low 56. Tomorrow's high 91, a warm, dry day, but cooler weather on Friday. How nice to have 70s to end the week. A warm Saturday and then big changes early next week. Increasing clouds on Monday ahead of a storm that brings a good chance for rain and temperatures in the 60s. Maybe a little mountain snow, and the start of fall is on Wednesday, the autumnal equinox.
It spoke to me and like how impactful words can be to other people, even if you don't realize it.
Days after the 20th anniversary of 9/11, a Colorado teacher learns how she helped a firefighter at Ground Zero with a letter she sent as a kid. That's next. This next story is great. A Colorado woman just learned a lesson 20 years in the making. She wrote a letter as an assignment way back in 6th grade and thought nothing of it. She forgot completely about it until she got a Facebook message on Monday. Here's Steve Stager.
Think of how many words get scribbled down through the course of a school year.
Anytime something happens, it's a good excuse to get kids practicing their writing skills to write a letter.
We all wrote letters like Amanda Hake did.
I was really proud of that dog.
Back when she was Amanda Patrick and a 6th grader at Peck Elementary in Arvada.
I don't remember writing the letter, but I do remember the picture of the dog.
That dog.
Yeah, you start with the little round circles, and then you can do the big loop, and then the ears.
The dog had a short message attached.
It says, "Thank you for saving all those people who survived." And then it says, "Amanda Patrick, age 11, Peck Elementary, Arvada, Colorado."
She wrote that letter nearly 20 years ago, addressed to first responders at Ground Zero. Amanda forgot about it until she got a Facebook message from a first responder's daughter last week.
So I reached back out and I said, "Well, yeah, that's kind of crazy. Like, who keeps something like that?"
His daughter filled Amanda in about her dad, David Johnson, DJ, a firefighter and paramedic near Pittsburgh who rushed to New York that day to help.
We talked back and forth, and she sent me photos of her dad and told me he passed away on Friday from this cancer that was caused from these attacks. And it was just crazy to me that he saved this letter that an 11-year-old wrote. It just it spoke to me, and how impactful words can be to other people, even if you don't realize it.
Hey,
There we are. Hi.
DJ's wife, Darla, says her husband was blown away by the outpouring of support from the country.
There it is. That's so crazy. I can't believe he still had that.
This little puppy dog you drew on here, we are dog lovers, and that's probably why he chose this one, but it meant a lot to him that people recognized what him and other people did.
11-year-old Amanda Patrick scribbled a lot of words in 6th grade that year. It took 20 years for her to realize how powerful they were.
You don't know what your words are going to mean to someone. And, the words of an 11-year-old girl who doesn't even really fully understand what's happening, it's incredible.
For Next, I'm Steve Stager.
Words do matter. Amanda shared this story on her Facebook page and heard from other students who remember that very assignment. DJ's wife says he had letters from other Denver area students in that box. If they had a last name, DJ's daughter is trying to find them on Facebook so she can reach out to those folks. No snow yet, but still finding a way to make use of that old snowboard. The most Colorado thing we saw today, along with your feedback. Next.
Your Word of Thanks microgiving campaign this week is boosting the nonprofit Work Options. You might know them by their former name, Work Options for Women. They provide culinary job training for Coloradans who have barriers to employment. And recently, restaurants have been beating down the door of this nonprofit looking for those skilled and willing workers. So let's help them expand their work, putting Coloradans back to work. Text thanks to 303-871-1491 and I'll send you that link to donate. Work Options is a nonprofit with a long track record in our community, helping people who have difficulty landing jobs so that they're able to walk in with skills and training and optimism. Just what short-staffed restaurants say they need these days.
Alrighty, the most Colorado thing we saw today is a chance to work while you work out thanks to an old snowboard. Reese sent us these pictures of her friend Megan in Leadville and her work from home setup. She uses an old snowboard of hers as a desktop so she can work while she walks on her treadmill. It's even a Blue Moon snowboard for good measure here. Reese saw this and of course thought, hey, now that is a Colorado thing, and sent us these photos. You can be like Reese, snap a pic or take a video of the most Colorado thing you saw today and email it to next@9news.com or use the hashtag #HeyNext. Let's talk about some viewer feedback. Boy, that story about rising parking rates got to a lot of you. Aaron Ramsey says, I wouldn't mind paying an extra $1 if it went directly to improving our roads. Drives me crazy how expensive car registration is, only to risk popping a tire every time I drive on Federal. That's a point.